And now, our feature presentation.
Welcome to another episode of It Sure Is a Podcast. This is the episode that is just going to be just hyper-focused and speedy because we got stuff to do today. And honestly, we don't want to go another week without an episode. So we would rather have a shorter episode than no episode at all, if that makes sense.
That's right. We got to pound this out, butt sluts. We got stuff to do. Let's go.
All right, so get ready. Bite the pillow. We're going in raw, baby. All right.
Hey, we're never going in raw.
Never. Well, I didn't bring lube. You got mayonnaise or something?
I don't know. Spit on it or something.
Dude, I was in such a rush. On the way here, I confirmed killed 2 birds. It wasn't on purpose, right?
No, but when you're driving and they all decide to play.
I didn't kidnap them and, tie them up and put a gun to their head and execute them. No, I was driving.
They like playing chicken with cars, but it's like, you're a half-pound tiny animal, and I have like a 2,000-pound vehicle. Like,
okay, I don't know why birds do that. Whenever,
you can fly, and you're gonna go 3 feet off the ground.
Whenever you drive, you're passing by them, and the birds are sitting there, not doing anything. You see them, and they have infinite possibilities of directions. Not infinite, but pretty close.
360.
Yeah, places to fly, and they choose to fly towards your car.
Yeah.
Like, this is their fault. This is on them.
I definitely found a dead bird in my driveway the other day. I wasn't doing it, but I'm assuming they also decided to play chicken and lost, and a car hit it and launched it into my driveway. So I feel bad. Like you said, it's not like it's not happening on purpose, but at the same time, I mean, maybe it's just natural selection.
Yeah, I got place to be, and it's a dumb little chickadee thing.
I can guarantee you, if I could fly, I wouldn't be flying 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah, I would be flying away from whatever. Isn't natural fight or flight? Like, every animal runs away from whatever scares it. Birds fly right toward it. Like,
I think birds are kind of dumb, though.
Well, I mean, look at how big they are. And then just imagine how big the brain has to be.
Yeah, probably pretty small.
Probably pretty nugget-sized. Little nugget brain. I used to, long time ago, when I was in my teens, I had this gold van that my parents gave to me that I would drive around.
SS panty dropper?
No, because this was in my early 20s, because late 20s was the USS panty dropper.
Oh yeah, that one was silver.
Yeah. This one was given to me by my parents, and it's because my other car just died. The little pickup truck, and I hit a bird once, but I never saw it go anywhere. So I'm like, oh, I would just hit it and must have ricocheted, and I didn't see it. Well, for the longest time. God. I was just getting this stench of something clearly dead. And I one day decided to investigate in the grill of my vehicle, and there's just a bird just smashed in there and obliterated. The scary thing was its bottom half kept its shape. The top half was smushed inward. So when I popped it out, it was like one of those oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the name of that alcoholic beverage? The martini. The big glass.
Oh, no.
It was a martini glass of just raw viscera and maggots and death. It has stunk so bad. Hey, but once I got rid of it, my van didn't smell anymore. It was a pungent odor. You could tell something was wrong.
Yeah, especially on the front. That's just air intake, and it's going to blow right onto your face.
Yeah, whenever you turn on the vent, you're like, why does it smell dead?
I can't believe you didn't get sick from that. Blowing dead, diseased material into your face.
Like some kind of Dead Space thing, just turning.
It's how you know the necromancer in your D&D group when they get into the car and they're like, "Man, what car scent are you using?"
It smells.
It's like, bruh.
It smells delightful.
Oh, it smells like my basement. What?
What was that? What?
Nothing.
I literally recently found my one friend. She's willing to DM. I found a legit DM. Now we have to do it over Discord, but. We found someone's like, I always wanted DM. DM sounds awesome. And me kind of experiencing it and not liking it. I'm like, what do you need? She's like, well, I just need the starter book, but it's $20. In their financial situation, they can't spend on anything. So I sent her money through PayPal this morning. I'm like, $25. Go get that starter kit. I'm like so ready, especially with that trailer and just I've been listening to D&D
So have
podcasts.
you seen all the jokes about the movie? One of my favorites was, if we want it to be real to life, you have to stop the movie halfway through and wait 7 weeks until everybody can get back together again to finish it.
That was like what I said. It's like it's gonna be a commercial flop because everyone who plans on going will cancel last minute.
Yeah, it was cracking up when I
um,
saw that.
no, I've just been doing that. My favorite podcast started a D&D podcast, and then I found another one called Dungeons and Daddies. The guy who's the DM is the lead writer of Borderlands 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, Anthony Birch. He's the guy who wrote Borderlands 2, and I'm like, I'm in, baby. I don't even care what happens. I'm
And he
totally
did
in.
a whole, well, I don't know if he was involved in it, but the downloadable content, that was all the D&D based.
Yeah, I don't know if he's involved in that, but like Borderlands 2, I hold that on a very high scale. I have it
Borderlands
tattooed on
2
my body.
that was one of those games that, like, I went in naive and full of hope and then didn't realize how long of a game it was. So, like, I loved it. Don't know if I'm ever actually going to finish a second playthrough because it's just so
I like how you're like, I
long.
can't finish a second playthrough. You know how many times I played through that game?
I'm not a.
I'll be honest, it's pushing in the 20s.
I mean, that's fair. I definitely have games that I've done. Like Dark Souls, I think I've legitimately crushed that game probably a dozen times.
Yeah, across like Xbox 360 all the way to like the PS4, current gens, even the Switch. I've beaten Borderlands 2 about 20 times, and that's being like on the like light end, like maybe. Yes, I've played it a lot.
Yeah. It's same with Dragon Age 3. It's so long, it's so massive, I can't. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, I was like, damn it. But yeah, no, I mean, same principle. I don't know if I can take it all in.
Yeah, can't you don't you never know unless you try. You never know unless you.
I have tried multiple times, and every time I'm like, nope, too big.
I've gotten to the point, especially Borderlands 2, where I have routes and I know where the to the max efficiency, get all the quests, and you can do it like most of the maps. If you do it just right, you can do like just a whole circle around the map and come back and drop everything off.
Well, my problem too is I swear I have like situational OCD. Video games is one of them where I can't skip a quest. I can't. If it's there, I like have to do it. I'm like, damn it, I can't move forward with this unfinished business. Whereas most people are like, I'm bored, I want to do the story. They'll just do the story. I can't do it.
You can't
We've
just
talked about this before, I
you
think.
can't
It's a
resign
crippling,
yourself to having a quest sit there in your log undone.
unless it's Dark Souls, because then when I don't want to do something, like one of the side quests, I will kill the person and then they're just gone forever and I don't
Yeah.
have to worry.
That is true, and Dark Souls is probably one of the greatest examples and greatest segues into the topic of today, which I was thinking about boss
You
battles.
Yeah, you said that and I immediately got angry just from remembering all the boss battles I couldn't beat.
In Dark Souls, there's different types of boss battles. Dark Souls is more, or any of the Souls series, it's more of pattern memorization,
It is,
but also everything you've learned up to that point, utilizing it.
yeah. Some of them are,
Some of them are just not fair.
so like the first Dark Souls, the first time I played it, I had almost no trouble. In the sense, I mean, I had all the normal. I died. I got frustrated. Yada yada yada.
Right,
But
right.
I normally one or two times I could beat a boss.
Yes.
No trouble.
Yes.
Until the end, the very final Lord Gwyn.
Win, yeah.
I couldn't beat him. My first playthrough, it took me I think 2 weeks. I could not beat him, just because of my playstyle. It tanked every other boss. All I had to do was turtle up. I had a spear or sword, no trouble. Got to Gwyn, killed me every time. I was so mad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I cheated on some of the downloadable content, but because I also couldn't beat, what was it, Magnus or whatever the dark. Did you ever play the downloadable content for the first Dark Souls?
No, remember my combined play of
yeah.
like Dark Souls through up
It was
until Elden
such a
Ring. It was
good
like
game,
a total
too.
of an hour and a half of
And
playtime across all those.
long story short, there's like and I've actually found it by accident. There's like a cheat for the DLC. There's the big boss battle. I fought him once or twice. I was having trouble. So I wanted to look up a strategy. Is there like something he's weak against, so on and so forth. They're like, yeah, you can sit there and just no scope him with a bow, and you can kill him before it even starts. And I was like, no shit. And ever since, it's a
Like
good thing they never fixed that because I wouldn't be able to beat him.
that's that's one of those things you hope they never ever fix
I
ever.
just can't play it, or I just won't complete it.
Yeah, that's like Elden Ring. There's bosses that I clearly like. Oh, I can beat that. Just like from just you can tell, right? And then there's other bosses you're like, no, I will never beat that.
I've been thinking I might give Elden Ring another go here soon.
And that's it's just all about experimentation. But all the people, all the Souls people, they play like those Elden Ring Souls games so aggressively. They just go through it with a fine tooth comb and they just rip it apart, and then they're just like, all right, I'm done. I'm never playing that again. It's just a mangled corpse.
Yeah, I I actually got a little nervous as the older I get, I realized I kind of like open worlds less and less
Yes.
because they're
No,
so
that's
massive, and I'm like,
valid.
dude, I'm older. I like exploration, but I need.
You're like, I got stuff I
Yeah,
gotta
I was like,
do.
give me a little bit of an area to explore, but like I still want it almost linear. Maybe not quite level, but I think that's why Mass Effect, which doesn't really have boss battles,
Right.
but that's why I like it is because it's you can explore, but it's almost linear.
Mm-hmm.
Different maps. Anyway, before I get us off topic, boss battles.
Boss battles.
We're gonna die. Oh no, what do you got?
Well, I was just gonna say, there's the Soul style where it is pattern memorization, and you are using all the tools that you have at your disposal at that time, right? But
It,
then there's also the mechanic or puzzle boss battle where it is uh Legend of Zelda is a perfect example.
I was gonna say, isn't Zelda similar to the Souls ones though? Because it's like he has an attack pattern, you memorize it, and then there's a specific way to. Well, they'll know because I never played the Zelda games, but you actually have specific ways to beat them, don't you?
Yes, you have
Okay.
specific ways because especially the longer the Dark Souls series went on, there's different and any Souls series, there's specific ways you can defeat the boss, which is easier, but you can defeat the boss using anything. That's why there's like
Yeah, as
those
long as you.
challenge runs of like people
Yeah.
using, I'm only going to use this shovel I found or whatever. Yeah, Zelda.
I found this cool shaped rock.
Yeah, I'm going to use this to defeat the boss. I watched a video of something like that where the guy is just, oh, the broken sword. Dark Souls is like, I'm going to beat the game only using that broken sword that you get in the beginning. They did it. I don't know how. Witchcraft.
That's sociopathic.
Oh, the videos like that, I really enjoy watching those because my brain is like, that's stupid. But then my brain's like, I wonder if you could. So then I
Oh, they
get,
can. They do it.
oh, they find a way. They find a way. Um, yeah. So The Legend of Zelda it's a puzzle because usually a lot of the boss battles come from dungeons, and you get equipment from the dungeon and you use that on the boss to beat it, right?
Hmm.
And I always thought that was cool because whenever you got a new gizmo or gadget or tool or weapon, whatever you want to classify it as, you're sitting there and you're like, this is pretty cool. How am I going to use it? How am I going to be able to beat the boss with this, right? I remember Twilight Princess. You get this little gyro thing. It's this little spinning gear that you ride on. And the point of it is that there's these etchings and these tracks, not etchings, these tracks in the walls that you can jump on and use it, and you can go up the wall and go to new places. But also you can use it to go across sand and not like sink in the sand. So I was like, how am I going to use this on a boss? It was a pretty cool arena fight. You had to spin around the wall, and while you're spinning, like the wall's huge, so you're not like puking. It's a giant skull floating, and you use your sword to bat back energy. You know, classic Zelda, but it's always cool, right? I like those boss battles, or I like the spectacle ones where they're not really challenging, but they're over the
Massive
top.
and epic in scale.
Yes.
Those are the ones I always liked too.
Bayonetta, any boss battle from that game is a perfect example. Bayonetta or Bayonetta 2 or the upcoming Bayonetta 3.
You know who had pretty cool boss battles too? And I don't know if it'll be a controversial opinion or not, but the Kingdom Hearts boss battles. Cuz I feel like sometimes that was a mix of like all of it.
Elaborate, vile fiend.
I just sometimes it was a straight up fight, other times they had their weaknesses or whatever, but it was always like so maybe not the game ones, but like or I'm sorry, maybe not like the bosses throughout the game, but the ending boss battles were always just this 6 tier Final Fantasy style. Defeat him, it's a new form. Defeat him, it's a video. Defeat him again. He's a gigantic ship. What the hell just happened? And
That is
then
true. That's
like,
Final Fantasy style. At the end of every game, it's like
but Kingdom Hearts, I thought did it where it was fun. Whereas Final Fantasy, it's not fun.
it's
I don't want to fight the same boss for 6 hours. It's not fun.
especially in the older ones when it's turn based.
I hate turn. Well, that was why I couldn't do it. I hate turn based.
Right. I know you don't like turn based. Whenever a Final Fantasy boss came on, you're just sitting there.
You're just like son of a. I could never do
You
any
pull
of
out
the
your
side
phone.
stuff.
You call someone like, "All right, I'm gonna be unavailable for the next 6 to 7 hours. Just a heads up."
Mom, Dad, I'm sick. I'm not going to school tomorrow. I'm gonna be playing this for 24 hours straight.
Just to get to the first phase of the boss.
I had to have my older brother beat a lot of them. I won't lie.
Yeah, I do like turn based, but they have to have a gimmick. They have to have something a little more engaging than just a traditional. But like turn-based games now that exist all have some element which I do like. But like the older ones, where just I like it, but I don't like it. I gotta be in the mood for it.
It's just the same music over and over, and you're just fighting the boss. And the only Final Fantasy games I ever actually played and beat was 7 and 10.
7 and 10.
And I
You
couldn't
never
beat
play the
Seth.
good ones. I like the ones that have nothing to do with the main series, like Crystal Chronicles, Final Fantasy.
I had a buddy who played Tactics all the time. And
Tactics,
he crushed that game.
like on the Game Boy Advance. You mean?
I think he had it on one of the PlayStations or GameCube. He had it on a console because I remember we put it on the TV and he played it.
Oh, that's probably the older Tactics, like the PS1.
Yeah, I think
there's
so.
Tactics.
But
Because there's also Tactics, but it's for the Game Boy Advance. It's different. Yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics, that's the other one I like. I was trying to remember which one I liked, the other one.
I don't know. I never got into the Final Fantasies, probably because I'm stupid and those games required a level of concentration and engagement I just my dumb brain couldn't have.
And right now I'm literally feeling like, I mean, if like in Final Fantasy fashion, at the very end of every game, you end up fighting God in some degree. You're just like, oh, look, it's the creator of everything. I'm going to punch you in the face. Me, after the workout I had today and drinking this like creatine and muscle crap after workout, pre workout, if God were to walk through that door, I'd punch him square in the face. That is how I'm feeling right now. Nothing against him. I just feel like I could fight something.
And then there'd be me in the corner. I'd be like, I worship you, God. Don't kill me.
Yeah. As I'm obliterated and just a blood stain on your wall.
We'll get back to the boss battles real quick, but that brought it up to me. In a movie, what type of individual do you think you'd be? Like the stereotypical, like
What do you mean? What do you mean?
do you think you would be like the hero? Do you think you'd be the villain? Do you think you'd be the comic relief character? Do you think you'd be the comic relief character who lives and or dies?
I'd be, if I'm being honest, not based on like what I want, it'd be comic relief. That's how I am in this life.
It's not what I want, but I feel like I would be the somewhat traitorous dude who goes along because he needs to do something for his family, and then I would try for redemption in the end, but I would die.
And that would be a redemption.
Yes, my death is the redemption. But I'd be like, they're like, oh, I guess he wasn't evil after all. I'm like, I told you, dick nuggets, I wasn't bad to begin with. Now I gotta die to prove it.
It's just I had different views than you, and it just didn't line up. And you think I'm a bad guy because we don't see the same exact thing.
You wanted to be the Rebel Alliance, and I'm like, yo, these guys might not be bad. Give them a chance.
Give them a chance.
My family's doing better now, but now I'm gonna die to help you get your crap. I don't know. You're gonna assassinate a government official, and that's gonna spark another war. Did you guys ever stop to think that maybe you are the problem? Just maybe.
Man, you have definitely put some thought into that one.
I had an existential crisis this week.
I have them weekly. Too,
I was very, very like, I had a lot of dark thoughts this week, and that's kind of, for some reason, that's what I came up with. I'm like, man, why would I be the character who has to die? I don't think I'd ever be the hero, but why do I have to die in all this?
Well, it makes it more engaging for the viewer if there is a redemption that ends in a death, even though, yeah, it's kind of weird for redemption. There's a few bosses like that though.
Yeah.
And always in JRPGs where someone betrays you and then they come back and they're just like, you know what? We might not see eye to eye, but I need you to finish this mission, and then they die.
Yeah, but I always wanted it so they would survive and then you have the option to kill them. Because then you're just like, hey, remember how you betrayed me? Stab, 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 stab.
That is true. A lot of games don't do that, but that's an interesting thing you brought up. I was going to say it's something you'd see in Mass Effect, but Mass Effect doesn't really have boss battles.
No, they do more. They had a couple.
And I think boss battles are definitely different than having antagonists, right? Like the antagonist is the reason the hero's call to adventure occurs. There always is a bad guy, and you always have to have someone that you don't like. That's different than a boss battle, though.
The first Mass Effect had boss battles.
That one did.
A little bit.
I remember they had Saren flying around on his little UFO.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Like, you fight Matriarch Benezia. She's kind of like a boss for that level.
Yeah. Those games, it's difficult to do boss battles.
Yeah.
So we could categorize that into anything that is like Fallout, even like Skyrim, Oblivion, those kind of sandbox. It's not even sandbox though. I don't know. I guess the bosses just do the same exact thing the player characters do. They just have bigger health bars. Those I don't like.
I don't. It depends on how you do it. Like Skyrim, I don't mind it. Because it's...
I mean, you would suck Skyrim's balls regardless if it did anything right or wrong.
I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of getting over the series. Like, I still love Skyrim and Oblivion. I'm always going to, but they're milking it. They're taking too long. So they're going to do the Kingdom Hearts thing where they're going to come out and they're going to be like, guess what? And everybody's going to be like, haha, we're going to wait until it's like $5 and then we'll try it.
Yeah.
Like, they're shooting themselves in the foot by not...
Hey, gamer. I'm just taking a second to check in on you. You see, the last time your mom and I were hanging out, she may have subtly dropped the hint that you're not really sure how to support the podcast. And honestly, when I walked out of her room only wearing a bath towel and we locked eyes, I could see it on your face. There's quite a few ways you can support the podcast. You can find us on Twitter at sure_podcast, over on Instagram, It Sure Is a Podcast, YouTube, and TikTok. It Sure Is a Podcast. That's all you got to look up. And then TikTok is for you Zoomers out there, because I post some real stupid shit there. For Eric and I, you listening is probably just one of the best things in the world. But if you do want to support us, those are ways you can. Also, just tell a friend that, hey, we listened to a terrible podcast. You should hop in on this. Also, if you want to support us monetarily, whatever one that makes you give us money, you can go on over to www.buymeacoffee.com/ISIA podcast. There you can drop us a few bucks and be on your way. Like I said earlier, just you guys listening is really enough for us. Good.
Not putting it out.
Good.
I don't know.
The Skyrim fades from you.
Mass Effect.
But hey, Mass Effect, not Mass Effect. Wow, Witcher 4 they're working on.
Yeah, and they partnered with Unreal, I think.
Yeah.
So for the engine to drive it. So they're like, if we do that, they're like, we can, we don't have to worry as much about the actual software development. We can focus on the story.
Exactly, because pretty much Witcher 3 was kind of in-house engine.
And it wasn't, I liked it. It wasn't bad, but at the same time, I think it's smart of them to do it. Yeah. Because everybody loved the story. So
right. And it doesn't really matter how it looks, because I fell in love with the game playing it on a Nintendo Switch. And it looks like a PS2 game.
They had some boss battles in that game.
And they actually had some good ones, because it kind of combined that, it's kind of a common enemy sometimes, but also they had special attacks. Like, that's the thing. You need to have special attacks. I always felt like in those sandboxy games, like, I'm just thinking Outer Worlds, Fallout, they just would pick an enemy and just give it a big health bar. And they're like, all right, that's a boss. That's not really a boss. It's got to be big.
Oh, are you talking like the random generated type of, like... And it's like...
Not even that, because there's definitely some missions I remember playing Fallout 3. It's like, oh, I'm the leader of this bandit camp. And I was a part of the story, and you're going to beat me, right? And then... It's that guy with a big health bar, and then there's just a bunch of goons.
Like I said, depending on how they do those boss battles, I never minded them
I
because I was
never.
like, it's actually kind of true. Like that, that's how it would be though. Is like, okay, it's just another dude, but I don't know. Maybe he's roided out, and that's why he can take more damage,
Yeah,
and
yeah. If you're
or he's
going for
got a
the
cool
realistic
gun.
approach, but I don't play games for realism. I play games for over the top, right?
I
So
play
it's
games for fantasy realism.
fantasy realism.
Yes,
So it's just realism, but sometimes
but
someone
based
flicks
on the
a.
physics of that world.
Okay, yes. So, and 90% of the games just have the physics based off of our own stuff. Like, not compared to, gosh, what is it? The Way of Kings, that Brandon Sanderson book I've been talking about.
Mhm.
He world builds pretty great because there's a lot of stuff in there that is just like it explains how their gravity works, how their plant life works, and stuff like that, and how
Oh
it's different than ours.
damn, he went for the full
Yeah,
physics.
yeah. There's even I wanted to bring this up just because I thought it was fascinating. Something I never thought of in royalty. There are male foods and there are female foods, and it is looked down upon if you eat one or the other if you are not a male or female.
That's weird.
But I've never seen that in any other book or series of anything. I just thought it was neat.
That is neat. That's a little bit weird. In a day and age where you think you've seen everything, whether it's original or not, if you haven't heard of it,
Yeah,
it's
I
cool to
was,
see that.
yeah. Um, oh, I was gonna give the example, and I'm jumping all over the place. 'Cause I'm doped up right now. Uh, well, I just did a mission in War in the North, that Lord of the Rings game we were talking about last
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And it was that same thing where it was just a guy oh, this is what I hate. The guy's invincible. You just beat a bunch of waves of enemies, and then the guy is not invincible. You beat him for a bit, and once you get his damage down to a certain threshold, he just becomes invincible again and goes back. I hate those.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of that.
I hate
I'm
those.
like, I'd rather you just make him tough and put him on the ground and let me fight him.
Yeah, because then those are the type of boss fights that are just dragging it out just for length. I distinctly remember Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze did that with their boss battles. There was only certain times you could hit the boss, and up until then, it was just a dodging game, and it just took
Forever.
forever.
And
I don't
that's
like that.
I do kind of like that. I think they're moving away from that mechanic a little bit
Yeah,
because I don't care if a boss battle takes 30 seconds. If it's epic, and I'll love it forever.
right.
Like, it doesn't need to be a 2 hour long boss fight. Most of the time, that's too long.
But if it is a 2 hour boss fight, I don't even mind it being like a sort of interactive cutscene at points. Like you do enough damage. Asura's Wrath does this a lot, where you do enough damage, and that, but it's like left up to you. It's like you use whatever attacks you want to get that damage. When you hit that threshold, then you press a button, and then there's a cutscene, and then you go to the next part. Do the
Hmm.
same thing again, next part, and it's like cinematic. I mean, Asura's Wrath is super cinematic, anyways.
Ooh, well, we're gonna piss people off here. You know who I thought actually had fun boss battles because it was on the verge of being too long, but it had such a sense of like I won that I didn't care afterwards. It was Resident Evil 6.
Gosh, I never played that one.
It was those boss battles were just oof. Sometimes you were sitting there for like 40 minutes and you're like, how is he not dead? I've wasted every last shot of ammunition I had. I've
Right.
stabbed him with a knife. He's not dead yet. And then finally you get the thing where it goes into the cutscene and you're like, yes, yes, you're dead.
I remember that in Resident Evil 4. Oh my gosh, those boss battles were intense. But if you knew how to beat the boss, you could do it efficiently in minutes. I like those. Those are like,
I like games like that where you struggle through the first playthrough and then you go back through and you're like, all right, I know what I'm doing. So that time it's fun because it's
right. And you're almost playing with a third eye. It's just everything. It's like bam, bam, bam. And what was it? I re-downloaded Remnant from the Ashes, and that's the same exact experience that I've played it and I learned how all the enemy movements and stuff that I'm just running through untouched, like with the basic enemies, and then the bosses. I might die a few times, but
oh yeah, there's still a little bit of skill. We
uh,
keep referencing Dark Souls, but same thing. It's fun because you go through, you explore, but the mechanic is still you have to be careful or Like if you don't pay attention, you're still gonna die. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
You'll still take the damage.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, boss battles, they got to be they got to, for
Right.
me, they have to be either like not even a puzzle, just, I hate the gimmick ones. I hate the gimmick where it's like, oh, you have to shoot these 3 things and then the shield goes down and then you can shoot them. But like I said earlier, once you hit the damage threshold, they pop back up. But I do also like those games where it's strictly only boss battles. Have you ever played a game like that? Because there's a very niche genre. No More Heroes is an example. That whole series. Fury is a good example. Cuphead's another good example, where the primary experience is just fighting bosses.
I don't know if I would like that game or that style of
Oh,
game.
I love that type of game just because the whole thing's based around taking those bosses and making them as, I guess, as engaging and as complicated as possible. Right? Because if you do the same boss battle over and over again or stuff like that, people will be like, this is terrible. We're doing the same thing over and over. But, the games might not be as long, but every boss battle is very memorable. If that makes sense.
No, that's fair. And I mean, if you're doing it that way too, the boss is probably a full level. It's not just like.
Yeah, it's like pretty much the Mega Man style where you would select what boss you're going to fight. You land in the zone, you go through the level, and then you fight the boss. But instead of that, just you pick the boss and you just fight the boss. Except for Fury, there was a narrative that just drove you to it, but it was just boss battle after boss battle after boss battle. Even to the point where in the game, like when you would walk to the different places, you couldn't explore the areas, you would just walk. So if you press a button, your character will just walk on his own. Like they knew, they were like, we're not going to make you do that. You're just here to fight bosses. That's what you're here for.
All right. Question for you.
Okay.
Favorite boss battle and least favorite boss battle, if you can think of
one.
Or one of the ones that you remember the most, I guess.
Honestly, if we're going, okay, I still have a few. Borderlands 2 final boss battle, that's one of the main campaign where Handsome Jack summons the Destroyer and it's that giant dragon. And there's just a variety of things happening to the environment, but it's kind of not completely one of those situations where, oh, he's invincible, you can't beat him because I hit him over a threshold. It's more of the dragon thing is moving around the map, so you have to move around the map, and depending where he is, the environment might change a little bit, like the lava level might rise, and just a lot to kind of keep a mental checklist of while you're still fighting this boss and avoiding stuff, which I like that a lot. That was one of my favorites, definitely. Most of the bosses from Wonderful 101, that is just, it's all spectacle. It's just really goofy spectacle. I would say the final boss in Asura's Wrath probably is up there within like that and Handsome Jack. Like, I mean the Destroyer, but it was caused by Handsome Jack. You know what I mean?
I do.
Those two are the top because it's more of the spectacle and the cinematic and the narrative reason behind it. Of like, I mean, Asura pretty much killed the god of gods because he made his daughter cry. And then that meant that Asura just disappeared. But he's like, you made my daughter cry, so I'm going to erase any thought or any depiction of a deity in this reality. Least favorite. I'm not thinking the least favorite, though. Hit me up with yours.
I definitely have my least favorite.
All right, start with the least
sticks
favorite.
Out. The first boss in Ninja Gaiden. Or, I'm sorry, not the first boss. The ending boss in the first Ninja Gaiden.
In the first Ninja Gaiden.
It was so insanely frustrating. I couldn't beat him. It took me 3 full days of just playing the boss. When I beat him, I think I broke the controller because I smashed it off the ground in joy. This was probably 10, 15 years ago. I just remember.
That was like original Xbox, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that game was so hard for some reason. For the first time I played it, and then
Ninja Gaiden, that was the first kind of introduction of games that were hard like that.
I mean,
since
it was
like
real
the
hard.
NES, and I've heard that. Yeah,
and like I get it. I'm old now. I suck at games. When I was younger and all I did was play them, I was pretty good at those. So like you're saying, that was one of the first ones where it was like, oh, this is like I gotta like take my time and figure this out. This is rough.
No button mashing in this game, even though I love button mashing
I
games.
do every once in a while a good button mash or dungeon crawler like a Diablo was fun. But
Mm-hmm.
that and then the other one that comes to mind that I struggled with a lot was Dark Souls 2, the DLC. Crap, I can't remember. It was shit.
It was shit.
It
You're
was.
right.
I
It
know
was
the
shit.
exact boss. I don't know. It was one of the ones where you had to. It was a little bit puzzle related because he had like these 6 things on the outside that regenerated his health.
Yeah.
So you could find stuff like items to destroy it and take it away. But if
Right.
you missed it or if you did them in the wrong order, because as you did it, it opened up new ways to go. So if you did it in the wrong order or you were like too zealous about it, you screwed yourself.
Okay. Okay.
So it was fun, but it was also I think that was even harder, so it was just frustrating. And at one point I finally had to give in. You know me, I hate co-oping things like with random people I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to. That was the only way I could beat them.
I feel like in those games, if you can't beat a boss like that, you just summon in someone else. So like, all right, you go beat him up, and I'm gonna just sit in the
That's
back.
exactly. I led them, and I think an NPC. They just like they were beating them, and I'd run in. I'd hit them once or twice, and then scurry away like a rat.
The rat play style. Nothing wrong with playing like a rat. I'm just trying to think my least favorite.
I
I
don't
feel
really
like it
know
would
if
really stick out in my mind.
I don't know if I have like a favorite boss, to be honest.
The bosses I list are just ones that are memorable. They've just stuck in my head for so long. I'm thinking least favorite.
Ooh, I always had fun with Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I can't remember her name, but the final boss in that game was because she was tough, but it was fun. Because it's like you get to the top of the tower, um, you fight Eldred, I think her name was,
Okay,
but
okay.
it's just a little circle arena and you're fighting her, and it was one of those ones where I think you get her down and then suddenly she grows to like giant proportions. She
Mm-hmm.
throws her sword that can like one hit you if you don't block it.
Okay.
So it was it was like same mechanics like you're saying, but there was a gimmick to it because it's like it was a little bit of learn her moves, a little bit of hit and like you have to hit when you can and then kind of turtle up. It was just there was even though it was old school, it could probably be done better back then. I was like, ooh, this is tough, but it's fun, and that's one of the ones I think that sticks out the most for me.
Boss battles should be tough,
Well,
but they
yeah, that's why it's
also should be enjoyable and not, feeling like you're being waterboarded by Mountain Dew Baja Blast or your fingernails getting bamboo shoots jammed under there.
which is how a lot of them feel.
It's a lot of them. I had a boss battle like during a discussion. I had one. It stuck out in my head, and I lost it.
For least favorite?
Least favorite. I'm stuck on least favorite because I feel like if it was so egregious, I would remember. But I
Yeah,
don't.
but at this point, we've got like 20, 25 years of games under our belt.
And
There's
just
a
in our
lot
brain,
there.
just stuck. Yes, yes. It just returned to me. The final boss in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The only reason is that if you were not a certain level, it is like impossible to actually beat the final boss.
Oh, I hated
And
stuff like that.
once you get into the final area, you can't leave. So it's almost like a
You
how do
just kind of screwed
yeah,
yourself.
it's like a soft lock. And there's not I mean, the only way I beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was I didn't beat it. I just looked at the what happened right after it cuz this was the final boss. You're like this is the final boss. And it was literally just a few cutscenes and I'm like, "You know what? It was a good game." But I was just like at the very end, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing because after it's like, oh, if you're under this level, there's no way you can beat the boss. Because also, the bosses that have a party wipe, the bosses that have a one hit KO attack that's like almost unavoidable, that's not good design. That's just being a dick.
Yeah, that was Sephiroth in the first Kingdom Hearts. I could never beat him in the first one
Yeah,
because he had multiple attacks like that. Whereas
yeah.
just hey, your whole party, poof. Actually, no, you had to fight him solo, which made it even worse.
And even with all the Souls game, at least they did a lot of the characters and bosses don't have that ability given how hard it is. In Elden Ring, there is the one,
A lot of them, it depends on
but
they can one hit you, but if you can't beat them, sometimes you have to grind. But you can leave, go back, do all your stuff, fight, level up, maybe get some better equipment or upgrade it, and then you can go back to
yeah,
them and
there's
do
always the
it.
option to level up and grind and
Yeah.
become stronger. Yeah, and Xenoblade, the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like that was just, it was clear that it was just I knew.
Well, have fun.
Yeah, have fun gives you two middle
Yeah, and you
fingers. Like
youngins, if you can't beat it now, you can just Google what the ending is and watch the cutscenes.
that's exactly what I
When
did
you're a
for Xeno.
child, you just had to sit there and or when we were kids, you're just like, I wonder. I'll never know, but I've always wondered.
I always wondered if I could beat this video game. Yeah, it. Yeah, that's a boss that sticks out to me that frustrated me because I really liked the game all the way up until the end and that final boss. And the ending gave, closure that I was, looking for in story in relation to the story, but I was just like, I'm not playing that again.
Oh yeah, least favorite. Every single freaking boss in Bloodborne.
You
Every
really
frickin'
didn't
one of
you
them.
really didn't like Bloodborne
I
again.
loved Bloodborne. I just sucked at it.
Yeah, it's very different from the formula that everyone got used to.
And that's why it was good, and I still like it. I still think it's one of the best games ever made. It just I was really bad at
Yeah, the
it.
FromSoft games, those are types of games that I respect highly, but like I can't beat them.
I
My Elden Ring adventure has really just turned into when I play it, I just run around and look at all the cool stuff. I'm like, this is really cool. But if I see anyone, I'm running the opposite direction. I'm like, I'm just bad at
Mhm.
this game.
Yeah, I still haven't beaten Elden Ring or Sekiro. I don't think I'll ever beat
I
Sekiro.
don't
I
think.
was really
Oh,
bad at
I would
that one
never play
too.
Sekiro. I just how brutal it is.
It was it's fun. I will say that. Like they combined a lot of the Bloodborne stuff but made it so you can jump around. They made it a lot faster paced
yeah,
kind of, if that makes sense, which
yeah.
is weird cuz Bloodborne was pretty quick paced as
Yeah, and then
well.
Sekiro like turned up to 11. It's like, all right, we're just gonna like
And
crank it up.
yeah, that one was rough, but
And boss battles, they're fun to talk about, but I mean, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how to make boss battles better. Just please don't do the stupid
make it achievable.
make it
Hard
achievable.
is one
Don't
thing.
make it a waiting game because
Yeah,
that's
I
not fun.
hate that. That's so. I'm not playing a game to wait around. If I want to watch something like that, I'll watch a movie.
Exactly.
I'll watch a boss battle in a movie.
Yes.
That's one thing.
And like Monster Hunter, those games are just based around the boss battles and hunting those monsters. I love those. Those are
I
all great boss battles.
I always enjoy playing Monster Hunter for like a week, and then I'm just like, I can't do this anymore.
Because you have to grind the monster over and over again
You
to get
do,
the
and I
gear to slap it on your body, which I can understand that gets a little tiring. I just focused on one monster that was like, I like that armor, and then I just build it up and level it up all the way. So even though I have debuffs from other monsters, it's not enough that it's like, oh no, one hit I'm gonna die. It's just like, oh, I just gotta be a little more careful, and then I have to drink a extra potion every so often.
yeah. I don't know. I'm so indecisive. I switch my gear all the time. That games like that, I'm like, oh, I like this armor, and then I'll see a new one. I'm like, I don't have 30 hours to grind to get this stuff to make the damn armor.
Right. Oh.
Oh,
So, if you notice the thumbnail, and we're getting close to the end of the episode just because we got things to do, but it's better to throw out an episode than not do any at all. Maybe. AI generated art. The thumbnail today was just some AI generated art that I threw into a thing, and it just said, hey, you want anything, to base it off of? And I just used our thumbnail. And yeah, and the AI generated art is kind of fascinating because take a computer's just kind of taking the idea and concepts that it understands of art, but it's not really through experience. It's more just through data it's been given, right?
hmm
and then it just slaps it together and hopes for the best. I'm pretty sure the prompt I used was like 2 warrior lads with big dicks.
I'm going to look at that again.
So when you look
quick.
at the image, remember that I typed in a computer 2 warrior lads with big dicks.
It's very abstract. Definitely looks like penises throughout it. But I don't think they are.
I think they're just fleshy colored things.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. It was abstract. I thought it was cool. I was just, huh.
Yeah.
The thing on the left looks a little bit like Mario.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just and what's so, this is, can we take a moment of, little moment of silence for all the people who just decide that, oh, this is a thing, and we'll make apps and we'll make like programs on computers to do this just because it's trending. You know what I mean? Whenever something is like, oh, one guy made AI generated art and it's inaccessible to us, the people, the guy just is like, some nerd in the basement's like, I got you, fam. I'm gonna make a program and it's free. You just type in big wieners on a mushroom and bam, that AI is gonna make that art. And then people start copying them, and then we, have access to it.
And then it
for
gets
free.
flooded into the market and no one cares anymore.
Yes. But now is the time. Now is the time, and Marza K has been replaced by an AI. She will no longer do anything for us. I will
oh
throw
God,
it through
it's
an
starting.
AI.
They're taking over.
The AI generation of art. Yes, all of our images will be done by a computer. Nah, it's cool, but at the same time, there's not a soul to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool to see a little bit, but
if you know it's done by a computer, you're just like,
well, then you're like, oh, that's fascinating because like this is what it came up with. But
right.
At the same time, you're like, it doesn't compute to the human brain because a human didn't make it.
And a lot of times, the
Plus,
best thing about artwork and just looking at it is that you can see the little blemishes. No art is perfect. There's little blemishes. There's styles that don't look perfect, but when viewed from afar, like oil pastels or oil paintings, if you like a lot of paintings, if you go up close, they look like crap. If you look from a distance, they look beautiful. But the closer you get, like, oh my gosh, it's just like mounds of just paint just smushed on there. What the hell? And then you back up and you're like, whoa, that's actually pretty nice looking. Like that Starry Night one that everyone loves.
I don't know. I'm uncultured swine. I'm not.
You are uncultured swine.
I'm not huge into art.
So bam, another episode out. We're approaching that big 100. Are you aware of that?
I was not.
Yeah. It's about like 6 or 7 away.
We'll figure out something for it.
I thought about it, but then we're putting a standard, and we're never going to reach it because you want it to be a big thing. So probably nothing's going to happen.
Maybe that's the one we can just go to a park somewhere and do it.
I do really want to do that, an episode where we just record in a park.
We could just go to a GameStop or something too.
Anywhere else.
Our local store. Like, hey guys, can we set up in here and just record?
Anywhere else. I hate that place.
I know you do. That's why I thought it would be funny to do.
I had to go in there and get a gift for my friend for his birthday. And I just looked on the shelf. Of course, they didn't have anything because like it looked like someone diarrheaed on their shelf. So I just go up and I said, "Do you have a copy of Monster Hunter Stories 2?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, we got 2 new in the back here." And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "You had none saying new on the shelf." Okay, whatever. So I did ask you. He's like, "So it's like, can I have a name for the card?" I'm like, "I don't have a card." And the guy was like, "Whoa, what? Do you shop here a lot?" I'm like, "I never shop here."
You guys are the devil. I'm only here out of necessity.
Exactly.
And then there's me. I walk in there and I'm just like, it's all rainbows and sunshine.
I'm sitting there in the background just like, no, it's terrible here. Yeah, oh, that might be the episode that we do that. I just wanted to do that. Just go to a park. Since the whole setup's mobile, we could do that. We'll just sit in the middle of a park and just record and just see what happens.
Oh, the comments you'd be here screamed in the background.
People would say,
nerds!
Yeah, nerds or some very offensive
I was gonna
things.
say we'd probably have to beep out a lot of what we'll
Just
say.
whole sections of it cut out.
Like, sorry guys,
Yeah.
somebody decided to use a slur that we definitely didn't want to put out there.
Exactly. It's either going to episode 100 is either going to be that or every no, every certain amount of time we do a shot. I don't know.
Oh God.
I would say maybe 30 minutes and then see how long we can go before we're just like, we're done. Or just do a bunch of shots before and see what happens.
And another drunk episode?
Another drunk episode.
Okay, but if this one's planned, I think it would be better. The last one wasn't.
It happened by accident, yeah.
That was like a world-ending one, but yeah, we'll do something funny.
I think we'll find something. But yeah, shorter episode. Apologies on that, but hey, we got lives too. Once it hits the fall season, the winter seasons, it's going to be more consistent because we kind of hole up in our little hobbit holes and don't.
Yeah,
really
I can't
go
leave
out.
as much, so I'll actually get some chores and stuff done, and
Yes.
I'll hopefully have a little bit more free time.
And no excuses for going out and being active or just social. Disgusting. All right. Take care, everyone. See you in the next episode.